In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Now we want to go to page 18 of the Discourse and Pragmatics book, talking about felicity conditions. Okay, which is on page, as I told you, 18. Okay, felicity conditions are the conditions that are upon the, in fact, speech acts which say that whether they are good or bad, good for the purpose or not good for the purpose, okay, appropriate or inappropriate. Okay, well, let us see. In order for speech acts to be appropriately and successfully be performed, certain felicity conditions have to be met. Okay, certain felicity conditions first have to be met. For Austin, the felicity conditions are the context and the roles of the participants must be recognized. We have to recognize the roles of the participants in the conversation. Okay? And the roles and the context must be recognized by all parties. The action must be carried out completely, not incompletely. And the persons must have the right intentions, good intentions. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. For Searle, there is a general condition. There's another person called Searle. There are two important figures in the class when we talk about a speech act. The first one is Austin, and the second one is John Searle. Okay, John Searle. For Searle, there is a general condition for all speech acts that the learner must hear and understand the language, and that the speaker must not be pretending or play acting. Okay, and these are examples below it. You can read it by yourself. Examples from one launch that we had a couple of pages ago. Exactly, it was on page 16. Now it is repeated on page 18. You are going to, in fact, see these types of, in fact, felicity conditions there. I don't want to bore you with many things in this book. Let us go to the last paragraph of this page 18. Okay? And as the book says, let us look at an example of a declarative speech act. And in this declarative speech act, there is a good example. I suppose I don't want to talk about it. Read it. If there are questions, just come to me. But let us go to line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the example. I now pronounce you man and wife. Okay? Maybe in my previous lecture I said sentence you man and wife, which is wrong. Pronounce you man and wife. Well, I now pronounce you man and wife. Maybe in a church, okay, the clergyman in the church could come to say something like this. Remember. Okay? Now suppose that it is filmed, this kind of, in fact, event is filmed. For the memory, no. Suppose it's a kind of movie. And this man who says, I now pronounce you man and wife, is an actor. And the two guys are, again, one actor and the other an actress. What happens? You have seen these types of films, especially in Iranian types of movies, which, well, we Iranians say that many parts of, in fact, films at the end result in the marriage of a man and a woman or something like this. And good, in fact, maybe a good, happening at the end. Okay, now, Suppose for one moment that there is something like this kind of thing, then they are in fact acting out. Do you think that the felicity conditions are met? No. What does it mean? Are they man and wife now? No. Why? Because it's only and only on the surface of it and in front of the camera. The actor has got, let's say, 2 kids and a wife, and the actress has got somebody else as has her husband. What are they doing out here? They are just doing doing their job, which is in fact acting in the cinema and the television. Okay? So these situations are in fact like something like a putting on a show. Felicity conditions in the real world is not met. Felicity condition says that there must be a man, there must be a woman going to, let's say, a place like a church, like an office. And there is somebody like a clergyman who actually does this kind of action, pronouncing somebody man and wife. Okay? When there is something like this and everything is real, we have the felicity conditions. It's not difficult for you to understand. Going to page 19, we are talking about direct and indirect speech acts. Because you already know direct and indirect speech acts, we simply go and have a look at these types of things. Line 1 says, much of the time, what we mean is actually not in the words themselves, but in the meanings implied. When we are, in fact, indirect, we are indirect. And there are examples like this, taken from bun lunch example, page 16. Okay, I don't want you to, in fact, bore you with line 1, 2, 3, 4, saying, I think I might go and have another bun. Indirectly says that she wants or he wants another bun. Okay, what does it mean? It simply means get me 1 bun, please. Direct. I think I might go and have another bun. Indirect. Simply as easy as that. So it is like this. So the next paragraph actually talks about the direct speech act, which is actually not recommended. In many situations, we don't have direct speech acts. Okay? When there is a direct relationship between the form, the grammatical form, and the function. Okay? So the grammar says that this is a, let's say, it's a question, and the question is used for something like questioning, like, let's say, asking somebody to do something for you. Okay? Or there is something like number 2. This is number 2. There is a kind of imperative sentence grammatically, which is used for commands and requests. Again, direct. But when you say something, you are asking a question, but you don't mean that you want the answer to the question. You mean something else. This is indirect. Or you order something, but you don't mean an order. You mean something else. This is indirect. Okay, let us see. And the next paragraph actually talks about this type of indirect speech act. Okay, and there are examples there for this indirect speech act. Simply, I want you to give some examples which you might find it difficult to, in fact, follow. Page 19, there's a kind of conversation down there, 7 lines to the bottom, which says, I don't suppose you have seen anybody yet. I don't suppose you have seen anybody yet. Line 2 says, I've seen Rivers, a person called Rivers, which reminds me he wants to see you. Look at here. Which reminds me he wants to see you. Which reminds me he wants to see you. What does it mean? Reminds me he wants to see you. This simply means that you go and see him. The last line, you go and see him. Okay, the last line of, in fact, the page 19. So he wants to see you, which reminds me he wants to see you, means go and see him. Indirect speech act. There are other examples on page 20. For example, in the big, in fact, conversation, or whatever that is there on page 20, well, line 1 says, come on, he said, I'll give you a lift. Actually, you give a lift to a friend of you when you have got a car and you're driving a car and you see a friend of you and you say, well, I will give you a lift. What does it mean? He or she wants to come to your car and you drive him to his destination. He wants to go to somewhere. There's a destination for him or for her, and you take him to his or her destination. This is a kind of thing. I'll give you a lift means I'll take you in my car and you go there. Okay? So line 1 says something like this. Come on, he said, I'll give you a lift. What does it mean? I'll give you a lift. Go down, 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 down. Actually, go to the middle of the page. Line 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle. I'll give you a lift has got a direct, in fact, meaning out there. Get in the car. Line 4 after the conversation says, get in the car. Or let's go to the line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the, in fact, dialogue above. Flight paused. The paragraph beginning like the sentence beginning like this. Flight paused. Or if you don't, if you would prefer to walk, inspector, let me in fact turn off my, in fact, put it in the airplane mode in order for not to have to see the messages out there. Anyway, line, as I told you, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the, in fact, conversation, it is something like, or if you'd prefer to walk, inspector. Or if you would prefer to walk, inspector. What does it mean? Now, if you want to have the answer, you go to line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the paragraph below it, which means, or like 6 of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of it. Below it, okay? Let me see, yes, sir. If, it means if you're going to be cheeky, okay, lacking respect, if you are going to be cheeky, which means you are going to have lack of respect, I won't give you a lift. I won't let you in my car. Okay? Now there's another indirect speech actor, and the last, in fact, one sentence to the last of the, in fact, conversation, which goes, it won't kill you. It won't kill you. What does it mean? It won't kill you simply means line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Line 9 is actually the last line of this paragraph below it, which means drink it. It won't kill you. These are examples. Now let us go to the social acts and the society. Okay, It's again easy. I want to actually finish as soon as possible. So, what time is it? It's already time to finish it. Indirect speech acts constitute one of many forms of politeness in our society. Okay, if you want to have indirect speech act, not direct speech act, you want to be polite. Okay, and we will look at this in more detail in units A6 and through D6 when we look at the linguistic features of politeness. Okay, and we are going to actually cover this part of the book. And line 3 says, indirectness is so much repeated, associated with politeness, as I told you. Okay? For example, examples. You go to a shopping mall, you go to a shopping, in fact, service, okay, and there's something like this. Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Line 6 says, thank you for not smoking. What does it mean? Indirectly, it means don't smoke. Indirectly, it says something like this: no smoking. But in a more polite way to say, thank you for not smoking. Okay? And the last paragraph. Other factors can, 4 lines to the bottom of page 20. Other factors can make speakers use indirect directives in addition to task of familiarity or the reasonableness of the task. How reasonable is the task you're asking? Can I say to somebody, well, give me the switch of your car, please? Is it reasonable to give the key to the car? Okay, the formality of the context and the social distance. How distant you are from your friend. If you are distant, you can't talk anything. So it's not easy to talk to a professor. For a student, it's difficult to talk to a professor, in fact, directly. So you are supposed to use indirect speech acts. Okay? Now, the last line says, social distance can give speakers power and authority. Okay? Who has got the power? The one on the top has got the power over the ones below it. Okay? So the president has got the power over his ministers. The ministers have got power over ministers. Okay? Have got power over all, in fact, those who work with. Okay? And the teacher has got the power over the student. And the boss has got the power over the, in fact, employees. Okay? This is the power. And authority. You have got the power. The authority to do something when you have got the power, the result is that it's your authority. You actually want to take care of all people under your control. Okay? These are the things that relates one thing, speech act theory, to your sociology. Okay? And I want to finish it just now. Page 21, there's something easy for you to read, part of page 21. And we stop at the cultural dimension of the speech act theory, which we are going to cover in our next presentation sometime. Thank you very much for your patience.